Now, online advertising is a vibrant market as we conduct more and more of our lives on the web. Companies naturally want to advertise on platforms with large audiences, but audience size is often determined by how many clicks it gets. And that has led to a thriving trade in fake platforms which fraudulently manufacture clicks. In fact, these platforms can end up on your own computer and even slow it down. One US group reckons firms are losing about $7 billion a year by advertising on fake platforms. Now there's a campaign to crack down on the problem. Ross Barnes is from the international marketing group, the AND Partnership, which is spearheading this drive. Good afternoon to you, Ross. Now this survey suggests really what others have long suspected, that a large proportion of online advertising spend is completely wide of the mark, no?
Absolutely, and I think what we're saying here is certain studies, and you mentioned the one before that says $7.2 billion are being wasted annually. Just to give you an idea of scale, the entire UK online advertising market is worth around $10 billion, so just to give you an idea of that. But we believe that's severely underestimated. And with the investigation we're doing with our partners, AdLooks, we believe the number could be upwards of $10 to $15 billion a year being wasted on advertising that's not been seen by any consumers and indeed could be feeding organised crime.
OK, unfortunate obviously for any company that is spending money on these fake clicks, but does any of this actually matter to the consumer? It
does, and there's a certain part of ad fraud that really matters to the consumer, and that's called botnet fraud. And you mentioned bots earlier on, and I promise not to mention them quite so much, but really it's about a network of robots which are zombie PCs where a hacker or a cyber criminal will infect a person's device, place a program on it which will be an invisible browser which will run through advertising at a rate of knots, running up huge bills for the company but also degrading a user's browser experience, using their data if it's on a mobile phone, but also their device is compromised by a hacker, and who knows what that could lead to.
OK. Now, why is it that you can't just track who and where this is going on and then punish them?
There's a common misconception with hackers and cyber criminals that it may be children in bedrooms, but it's not. These are highly sophisticated, organised criminals, and they are creating ever-evolving programs that mimic human behaviour and fool websites and advertisers into thinking that humans are actually accessing the sites. But one thing, for example, that you can do is robots never sleep. So you can look at browser patterns and see that people are surfing at 4:30 in the morning, also at 6:30 in the morning, and then start to eliminate this type of behaviour from your advertising buy.
OK, but fraud, of course, is always going to happen in any market. It's just sort of almost a natural part of the process. But the more sophisticated the system, the more sophisticated the fraud. Yet, trying to judge the effectiveness of a marketing campaign by clicks, by the number of clicks, seems very rudimentary indeed. Why don't you just make the software more sophisticated to check that you're getting proper value for money when it comes to your advertising?
And we absolutely are. And I think what we want to do as the AND Partnership is ensure that the industry has a view on what is successful, what is acceptable. Some industry bodies believe that between 5 to 15% of fraud in a campaign is an acceptable amount. And we don't think you'd judge that on any other line in your business. So we think, why not judge that now? The systems that we're using are getting more sophisticated and better at detecting. Indeed, with some of our clients, we're looking at 0.3% fraud. But as I've said before, these things are evolving, and what we're doing is find new ways to measure and identify and eliminate this ad fraud.
Ross Barnes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.